We are live now, so welcome, dear friends. It's so good to be able to have this chat side talk with you today, and also hopefully with the ones who are following us and watching us today. We are here for them in the first place, and without further ado, let's quickly do a round of self-introductions, if you please. I know that you probably have your best pitch. The floor is yours. And starting by alphabetical order, Farah, Ismail.
Oh, okay.
I'll be putting here your banner.
Super. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is so exciting. So hello to everyone who's watching us live. I am Farah and I am currently based in a city called Bangalore, India. And one of the roles that I play is I wear the hat of RD, as you can see, Regional Director for Asia for IAF, and I'm excited to be here to talk about really interesting stuff that's coming up, some major buzz and things that we are waiting to welcome in our homes, in our lives. That happens every October, every year. And a couple of things about me. So I'm currently, besides that, I also am leading, so I'm a coach and a facilitator, and I love working with women, empowering women, and that's really my focus right now. So excited to be with the others on this forum. And Paul, there's so much that we are planning for FacWeek, so I'm waiting to share it with the world.
That will be our goal here today, to share to the world what we are doing in FacWeek, because in fact, this is FacWeek Open Forum, and that's what I have, that's the reason why we are all here, right? The FacWeek Open Forum, exciting times. So after F comes K, L, N, and O, P.
Kavitha.
Kavitha, yeah.
Very good evening to everybody, and thank you so much to Paul, Farah, and Peter for being here. I'm here from the IAF India, and I'm going to be supporting Farah for the IAF Asia. And today we are looking at the perspective of what share with you certain amazing events which are lined up for Asia. We'd love to share it with you. Thank you so much.
Kavitha, thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do for a living.
I am an IAF facilitator. First of all, I really love working with IAF. That's something which I love doing. I have my own company which I run. It's called Learning Ethos. And I focus on design thinking, gamification, and look at blended learning. So that's what I develop courses around it. And these are journey-based leadership programs related to leadership or related to women empowerment. So these two spaces is what I look at.
Fantastic, Kavitha. Thank you so much. Last but not least, our permanent guest for today is Peter Seah. Well, I have to confess that Peter Seah was my IAF CPF examiner and assessor. So I have a special connection with Peter. He was kind enough to invite me to a number of Singapore events, which he brilliantly hosts. And Peter is kind of this kind of person, whenever you work with him, we see everything is calm and everything is under control. So I really appreciate Peter's having a few minutes of his time to be here with us. Peter, a little bit of...
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you for very kind words. Yeah, we're all doing our best to make sure that our professional facilitation is spread and then across everybody. Yeah. Thank you for being a company. Nice to meet you, Farah. We're trying to connect back to the meeting, but there's so many things that clash together. Apology, and Kavitha too. Thank you, and accompany everybody. I think tonight we are here to kind of like share and also spread a lot of happenings in October, and I'm one of those who is also very excited about it, and later I have the opportunity like to share more what we do in this tiny little dot called Singapore. That's why I am, and behind me is the Marina Bay Garden in the night. It represents very tall tropical trees, an example of why we should be loving nature. And for the very incident reasons, we are here, and with technology, right, we can get connected, even though we're very far away at different time zone, right? And so this is another excitement that I have, that facilitation goes into a different dimension. Although we are kind of limited by circumstances, but I think we kind of like get out of the circumstances. And this is probably one of the things that maybe Farah will share later, how the October is quite different from the previous year in terms of the IFW. Yeah. Professionally, besides being the IAF Singapore president for the last 1.5 years, I do my own OD professional development and consulting. I do quite a number of facilitation and some social impact community conversation whenever the opportunity comes by. Yeah, that's what mainly I'm focusing on. Recently, I'm in the space of investigating the concept called digital collaboration. Right, it is something that I felt is going to go quite differently. While we all go gaga over virtual facilitation, I still believe there is a certain amount of face-to-face that is important. And I think the concept of digital facilitation plays a very important role in that aspect. Yeah. Over to you, Paul.
Okay, thank you so much. And I see that we have now a surprise guest on our studio, which is Poonam Balam, someone I met in a past workshop I delivered. And that's definitely something that you just said here, Peter, that I would like to share with you all, is that what is the role that a facilitator like ourselves can play in making the post-COVID era a difference. And I'll start this by Farah again on that sense.
So I truly believe that we play a very pivotal role in having these dialogues and these conversations about what is possible. Because I remember I was in a beautiful conference recently, which was the Facilitation Days in Sweden, and led by Marlon and her team. And it was so interesting because it helped us to think about where we are in this whole story of COVID. You know, are we in the beginning, middle, or end? And so it really depends on where we are. So as facilitators, it's really important, I think, for us to have those dialogues and those conversations about helping people deal with the situation, and also to start thinking about the future. And that's exactly what we are trying to do, especially one of our featured events this year is the event that we're having for the UN 75 anniversary, that we are going to have these beautiful conversations that will help us to start thinking about not just the near future, right outside COVID, but what does our future look like in, in 2045. So I'm excited to share that in a short while, that our role is really creating the space to have these conversations and have these dialogues and support people to share their best thinking, because it's been such a unique situation for us. And like Peter said, how is our FacWeek going to be completely different from what we experienced? All the buzz of having face-to-face events is now going to be maybe a few will be face-to-face, but most of it is virtual. So what does it mean for us? I think we need to start thinking about how do we get prepared for this this future, which is going to stay for a while. That's
Fantastic.
my thought right now.
Well, thank you so much, Farah, for sharing your thoughts with us. Kavitha, do you want to add something to this?
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, and just adding on to what Farah said, I think there are some amazing events which are happening across Asia, and some of these events are also celebrating 25 years. So, for example, Japan is actually celebrating 25 years of World Cafe. So that's something which is interestingly lined up. And today, when you look at it, it's very important for us to create a space where we could get connected to have those powerful conversations and stimulate those powerful questions as facilitators. And as IAF facilitators, I think we hold that responsibility of, curating those powerful questions. I think that plays an important role.
Fantastic, Kavitha. Thank you so much for sharing. And Peter, would you like to add something from the perspective of digital collaboration?
Sure. I'd like to thank the two for the wonderful sharing. Before I share that, I would like to just to add on to expand. I felt that actually in the space of virtual, right, the role of facilitators goes beyond just holding just a conversation, just beyond the space. I think it's go back to then what are we creating? You know, what sort of lead, in a way, leadership. You know, if I will borrow an idea from Peter Sange's concept of LO and fifth discipline, facilitation is really the thread across all the 5 disciplines to make things happen. So if we are the one who hold the thread, then I think we need to examine the role of the facilitator, not just beyond holding space. Besides creating conversation, I think the coming October kind of highlighted where we are inviting other partners to come on board. So it's actually expanding their leadership role. And I think a facilitator has the leadership role. In fact, it has a very strong leadership role in a couple of areas. One area is really anchoring, right, the basic understanding of why conversation need to take place. And secondly is why do we need to come together to be more collaborative? And how do we, this collaboration create something differently, right? And this is a space coming back to the digital facilitation. Honestly, from a personal angle, I'm one person who actually do not like what we call focusing on just process. Sometimes I do share that, I mean, against the normal norm, I didn't quite like the term called process facilitation or process facilitator, because whenever we do a work as a facilitator, we are also always managing process, but there's always a content. And there's a piece of leadership I'm talking about, that the facilitator carries a certain form of leadership, not a process and content, but really there is a reason for you to hold the space, and that reason is more important than anything else. So from a digital facilitation point of view, technology is just one part of it. Right. The other part is the interaction, bringing conversation to the pieces. So digital facilitation anchors on just not just technology, but also the other space of a softer approach. You know, for example, interaction between human being. We could also talk about the psychological sort of sciences and so on, bringing all space together using technology, using human processes, using also a content that we put together. Right, that will be what I will see the role for facilitator in the future.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thanks so much for sharing that wonderful thoughts. And we have a strong reaction from our audience that are giving us likes and loves, and this is exciting. Thank you so much for the ones who are watching us, because we are here for you and hopefully entertain you for the next couple of minutes while we wait for surprise guests to join and pop in. So let's review now FacWeek. Farah, you have already some experience on previous FacWeeks. This is going to be a special one. Is there anything you're going to particularly highlight on FacWeek next week?
Absolutely. This is the most unique one because, as you know, it's going to be virtual. Most of it is virtual. And we've also opened the doors to create more partnerships, and everybody's open to be part of this beautiful experience, which is celebrated since, 2013 that we've been celebrating FacWeek. And it is really a celebration of the impact of facilitation and what's unique that we're going to see. And I'd like to invite all our viewers to go to our website and have a look at all the amazing generosity of our community to share the most exciting things that they want to give us during that week. And so we're opening up the doors for everyone to experience that. But in Asia, it's going to be even more exciting because while we have a calendar that we're going to share, and Kavitha has helped us to create a calendar to make it easy for our members in Asia to pick and choose. So we spoil them a little because there's so much happening across the world. So we've created a calendar for what's happening in Asia. And we have events from almost all the chapters. But there's one unique event I'd like to invite all of you and it's a featured event. And so, of course, we've actually had some of our events that we've created as featured events that you would like to block in your calendar. And this one is on the last day of FacWeek, on the 25th, when we are all the chapters, the 10 chapters in Asia, coming together to create one event which is celebrating the diversity in our beautiful region. And so it's led by 3 chapters, but everybody is involved in this beautiful event in which we're going to showcase how each chapter and country is unique and how we leverage that diversity. So I would invite you to come for that and join us to celebrate with us. So that's one event you don't want to miss.
Fantastic, fantastic. And how about you, Peter and Kavitha? Is there any other events you'd like to highlight in particular?
Of course, being part of Asia, we are supporting what Farah has mentioned. I'm amazed by, for example, our neighbor chapters like India, they have about 100 word sessions. Yeah, also we have put up a little show. We have 4, to kind of like also chip in the effort. But I think it's not the numbers, but I think the coming together. All right. On our side, right, we have started what we call since last year to involve other communities. So this year we're going to do the same thing. Especially the communities who are reaching out to everybody in their different ways. For example, the coaches, the consulting group, it can also be counselor and so on, right? And which we believe part of their communication require a certain form of facilitation skills. Yeah, and I think that is also what the Asian League Farah has a kind of put it together, like for us to come together to celebrate the diversity. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. And now I have a surprised guest here, which is Poonam Moran, a social activist. I'm so glad that Poonam can join us. And this is awesome because we were planning.
Hi, Poonam.
Nice to finally see everyone. Glad to see everyone in good spirits.
It's amazing. This meeting is happening here because we try so hard to meet before this live stream event, right? But we couldn't. So now you're going to witness what will happen if we meet for the first time on live, right? Because this is the first time Poonam is meeting Farah, Kavitha, and also Peter Seah.
Yes.
So Poonam is a social activist, but she will be able to introduce herself. Originally from Asia, from Malaysia, but she's now living in Germany. Poonam, can you share your professional pitch?
A little bit of a gist, yes. Thanks, Paul. I've followed Paul at the IAF for some time. You inspired us at TAC Hub with the Remote Work Summit, with what Paul did there in facilitation, and then we had Paul come speak with us for the Mental Health Solve-a-thon at our Inspiration Weekend, where we really hashed out, the value of communication and gatherings and how this is all changing from physical spaces to online spaces. So, thank you so much, and it's really good to be included. A little bit about myself. I'm not so much of a social activist, but that is a very good badge of honor. I won't count myself into the group of activists because I think they have a lot more discipline than I do. I'm very much a strategist and a brand integrity strategist. So what I do is I look at legacies and I look at how brands create, investor relations and how they handle their buy-in and impact investment and so on. But now my role is primarily as the founder of TAC Hub. We are a think, do, tank, and we focus on sustainability and innovation impact monitoring. What that means is we try to make innovation impact somewhat tangible in the field of investability from the point of view of the social development goals or parameters like the ESGs, which is environmental, social, and governance criteria. So in a gist, that's what we're focused on at the moment.
Fantastic, Poonam, and thank you for your introduction. And I'm sure that Farah, Kavitha, and Peter have questions for you. I will open the floor now.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Who should begin?
Go ahead, Peter. Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Poonam. Is that the right word?
Yes, Poonam, yes, no problem. Nice to meet you too, Peter.
Yeah, I'm just curious. In your work, you probably have encountered people who actually use different sort of facilitation tools and sort of techniques, and even come in the space of organizing a conversation. Could you share with us what were one or two things that really help you to make a difference in such community conversation? Especially in your work, probably there'll be a lot of so-called diverging views, people coming together to kind of put together to allow emotions, and yet we kind of reach certain consensus. Yeah. Could you like to tell us your stories and experience?
Oh, yeah. That's a very nice way of putting it, Peter. You know, and I'll take a little example from our most recent effort that Paul was a part of as well, so we can add some context. The mental health solvathon. This was the first time that we created something that addresses a topic that is so sensitive through digital interaction. And a couple of things that I took away when you're dealing with a very sensitive topic, I find that even though we have facilitators in our side of the fence to deal with facilitators that are innovators, so they do have a set of skills that address groupthink and how we can basically divide popular opinion to applicable opinion, right? What I've learned is that a lot of times with digital and remote discussions, you really have to pull back quite a bit and create a lot of white space. So in our world, using tools like Mural, I know IAF uses them as well, and Mural has been great in supporting us and being a partner for some time now. It really is critical to let everybody come on board confidently at every step of the way. So I think as facilitators, we all take this for granted sometimes, that we might be so proficient in certain things, but that confidence level is really, really critical. So I've learned personally to pace a little bit more, to pull back a little bit more, to keep conversation less, so to allow others to have more conversational bits as well. And I think that is what adds the ability for people to have more intent, to portray their intent and their purpose. The other insight I've learned about dealing with topics so sensitive digitally is to pace how we get in touch with people afterwards, and to keep things largely hopeful but factual. And that seems to work. And sometimes too many emails is too many, and too little communications is too little. But now the norm is, compared to when we used to work with emails every day, it's quite normal now to have follow-ups every 3 weeks or 2 weeks, because people are starting to balance out their lives a lot more.
Thank you. So I'm just hearing, thank you very much for sharing. I'm just hearing something that I personally resonate. A lot of time when we actually work out something, design and actually conduct a facilitation, I think the understanding of the client's requirement, the ability to really understand how we reach out to them, and therefore when we actually look at our design and the processes will meet the client requirement is something very important that you highlighted. You mentioned a couple of words, almost words alluding to like the being of the facilitator, really understanding the context and therefore bringing things together. I resonate that a lot. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I mean, I've also learned a lot from our CIO, who is a facilitator, and he's a Haskell Plattner facilitator. And I think these are the times, especially during the pandemic, where a lot of these methods and approaches have to be adjusted, and you have to be patient to adjust them and co-create what works now, because a lot of what we had before doesn't really work the way we had expected it to work.
Fantastic. So now, ladies, Farah, Kavitha, more questions, please.
Well, can I share something while I'm here? While I talked about this one event, I do want to bring in some more exciting things about FacWeek. Is that okay?
Absolutely. And moreover, Poonam is asking to create a session for FacWeek along with you two. So maybe we could brainstorm something here.
Yes. So go ahead, Farah. Share away. The more the better.
I'm going to share away, because this is when it happens. Like yesterday, I don't know if Johnny will listen to this. I was talking to a very close friend of mine. I host conversations with him called Unhurried Conversations, and we were talking about Facilitation Week, FacWeek. We both took 10 minutes in a very unhurried way to plan a session together. So we're going to fit it in that week. So I will tell you that it's going to be a really exciting title as well, and the topic. So I think there's possibilities here, Poonam, for us to plan something. But before we get there, I just want to share a couple more things about FacWeek, so we have the Global Facilitators Virtual Cafe that has been run for 25 years by Kazu Katori, and we are celebrating the 25th year of this beautiful experience for all of us. And it's happening on, when is it happening, Kavitha? Is it on 22nd? 21st?
Yes.
21st. So we would love you to join that, because it's an epic event and it's happening in FacWeek. And I also want to share that while each of the Asia chapters are doing some amazing work, you'll see all the events online. There's something really interesting that's brewing in India. Now, India is such a large facilitator network, and we have a lot of members there. So the way, I'm really inspired by the way they are using the theme of diversity to expand the power of facilitation across industries, across stakeholders. And so a lot of thinking has gone behind engaging the members to play a role. And while there are over 100 events happening, you won't see them on our FacWeek website. That's because they're not open to all to the public. They are offered to organizations, NGOs, so that they experience facilitation and really see the power of using it in different walks of life. So I want to actually also acknowledge some of this beautiful work that's happening in different parts of Asia. And yeah, so that's something I thought I must get in so you could see all that happening.
So how about the power of facilitation in mental health? Is this worth of a session discussing this? Because I see that mental health is becoming great traction these days. We have the mental health World Day just Saturday. So what are your thoughts about this, Kavitha, just to share a little bit of participation here? Mental health and facilitation, is there a path?
Of course, because that plays an important role, because I come from a design thinking background. And when I come from that, and that's why I was interviewed when Poonam said that she's talking about innovation and sustainability. I said, wow, that's the space definitely we want to be as facilitators. And yes, when you look at mental health, yes, it is the being of the facilitator when we talk about it. If the facilitator itself is not mentally very strong, the being of the facilitator does not come out very well. I think that's important. If we don't take care of ourselves, then how are we going to take care of our audience that we have? I think that plays a very, very important role.
Fantastic. Yes, good comment. Poonam, now the ball is on your side. What will be the session format for this?
Yes.
Yeah, we work basically on basically designing it around the audiences. So what we do is we gather what the audiences want to achieve, because in mental health there's so many categories of mental health, and so you've got the lighter ends that address general anxiety disorder, depression, things like that. But then you go on the other side of it, and so we have to pinpoint which mental health spectrums we want to first address. And then what we do is we have a structure with our CIO where we adjust the sessions accordingly. So we have a sprint day format and we have a weekend day format. It's all designed not to be too intense. And a lot of it is, breaking out into different groups and coming back together, just like any other innovation event. But with a solvathon, it's a little bit unique in that the agency is given more so to the participants, to not sort of feel intimidated whether their answer to something is too small or too, or a true solution yet. The idea here is to allow all ideas and concepts to come out into fruition and onto our canvas. And we try not to basically remove anything from that palette. And when we find a sponsor entity, an organization that is willing to take in the potential framework and actually work through their organization members, then we actually further some tangible KPIs to that might be working for the organization. So that's essentially the format we run. We try to keep it very much glass half full, and we protect the facilitation standards, we protect the compliance standards, we protect the way in which the formats are reflected. We protect personal data, of course. So in mental health, there's a little bit more compliances that we do. And with some organizations, we're working with audiences below the age of 18. So there's some COPA compliances that we also go through. Even though we're not an American entity, we're a European entity. TACUP is registered here in Europe. We still at least run through those compliances as well, so that parents are comfortable having their children be a part of it.
That's great. That's really great. So whilst we still need to further brainstorm how the session could go on FacWeek, we have already here 2 other guests. Let me bring them to the studio, and they are Susannah, Raffe, and Martin Gilbraith. And welcome, dear colleagues. Oh, I'm.
Wow. Long
Thank
time,
you. Delighted to join you.
It's so good to have such a wonderful group of people here in the FacWeek Open Forum. Martin, Susannah, please introduce briefly yourselves. Have you been watching the previous conversation so far?
I haven't, sorry. I had to make time to eat some lunch.
And I have, but just for a few minutes after I got off a client call 15 minutes ago. So we're very pleased to have the chance to join you.
Yeah, great to have you here. So would you like to present yourselves to the audience? We have right now 14 live viewers and growing.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Susannah Raffe. I'm an independent facilitator with background in climate change and sustainability. And yeah, I'm on the leadership team for IAF England and Wales.
Thank you, Susannah. And how about you, Martin?
Thank you. Yes, I'm Martin Gilbraith, also based in London, also with the leadership team of IAF England and Wales, currently serving as the chair of the chapter. And I'm an independent facilitator, surprise, surprise, working particularly with non-profit organizations and particularly international networks and associations.
Fantastic, Martin. And please do share what's happening in the England and Wales virtual annual conference, because is it the first time you're doing an annual conference virtually, right?
Well, it's the first time we're doing it virtually. We've been doing an annual gathering every year for several years, and last time, for the first time, we called it an annual conference when it reached 2 full days and about 100 people. And we were planning to do something very similar again this year. We were so pleased with how it went last year. We thought we'll do the same again, but just make it even better. And then, of course, our plans all went awry in the spring. And thankfully, Susannah leapt in and offered to put in some extra time and energy to help us take it online. So it's turned out really quite different this year, in a good way.
Fantastic. Susannah, can you tell us what are the highlights of that virtual conference?
Yeah, so we've got a pretty full week planned. So as Martin said, we were planning to do the same thing as we did last year, which was over 3 days, or over Friday, Thursday, and Saturday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But when we took it virtual, we thought, well, why not make it for the whole of International Facilitation Week? So we have sessions on pretty much all day, every day next week, ranging from, sort of looking at familiar technologies and tools that we use as facilitators and bringing them online, to how do you facilitate in times of trauma and crisis as we are in right now? What does it mean for us as facilitators going forward? And we've also got some really fun stuff. So we've got some online wine tasting. We've got a murder mystery night as well. So we've got a lot of really broad mix of things. And we've got session leaders calling in from around the world, not just England and Wales. So we'll be able to get insights from them as well.
Sure. I mean, I would love to join that wine tasting session. And definitely But wouldn't you be stealing the whole show of FacWeek with such an immense, diverse, attractive program you have designed for this week? Aren't you going to steal the whole show?
Hopefully not. I think there's a lot of appeal to, you know, our conference is a ticketed event, and that's not going to suit everybody at this time for obvious reasons. But also what we're offering with that ticket is a meetup community and a community feel. So it's not just a learning experience, it's a community experience at the same time. But there's lots happening more broadly in International Facilitation Week, and also, you know, all our things are scheduled for a British summertime time frame, so that might not suit everyone.
Yeah. Fantastic, cool. Farah, Peter, Kavitha, questions for these colleagues from IAF England and Wales, the powerhouse chapter of the region in Europe.
So I'm so tempted to, every day I think, I'm looking at the website and I'm thinking, where can I be? I think that's the biggest question. And so while this is an event I really don't want to miss, I'm trying to be in fewer places this year. And so I wish you all the best. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of amazing people from across the world who are going to be part of it. Do you already have your registrations completed, or is it still open, Martin?
The registrations are still open, absolutely. The call for session proposals is complete. The program is complete. Quite miraculously, we seem to have filled the week pretty much from 8:30 coffee each morning through to an evening session each evening without any overlaps and with barely any gaps. So that's worked out pretty well. We've got something like 70 or 80 registered already. So I think we're on track to have at least as many as we had last year, but there's absolutely room for more. So please do join us if you can. However, I do appreciate there's an awful lot else going on all over the world as well. In my spare time, I'm tweeting for FacWeek and keeping a close eye on the FacWeek schedule at facweek.org. And last time I looked, it was approaching 150 events scheduled, and ours only counted for about 20 of those.
Yeah, FacWeek is growing immensely, and we have here a window of opportunity to make it even stronger if Poonam and decides to offer a session. But just let me share here how it's looking right now. So here we are the FacWeek Open Forum 2nd edition. But it's going to have the annual conference, of course, that we are talking about, the IAF England and Wales. One quick question, Susannah. If I need to join the morning coffee, I have to be registered at your conference?
Yes, so the morning coffees are sort of like coffee in the lobby. Like at a face-to-face conference, you'd arrive a bit early, meet people around the coffee maker or tea station. So it's sort of recreating that. But we also have our, during Facilitation Week, which just sort of happened to fall in that week, but we've included in our program, is our standard UK and Ireland virtual meetup, which happens once a month. And that's open to everyone. We've put it in our program. We've made a space for it in our program, but that is open to everyone via our standard meetup groups. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's and there's a cost, right, for the registration?
For the registration for the conference, yes. But then once you're in, all the sessions are free, and the as I said, the UK and Ireland virtual meetup is free of charge for anybody who wants to join.
Okay, so if you want to register for the annual conference, you have a small fee that will be paid to the IAF England and Wales chapter, so that they will be making a very good use of that money to grow our activities in that, I would say, region, right? Because IAF England and Wales are part of a country, which is UK, so you are a regional chapter within the country, right?
And we have regions within the chapter as well. We're actually divided into 5 regions, well, 4 regions of England plus Wales. Fantastic. So we have 5 regional meetup groups that each organize meetups in their own locality around the country, or they used to when we used to leave our homes. Now they're all online, of course, and we're all joining each other's meetups all over England and Wales and all over the world. But we'll continue.
That's creating an interesting problem. I will leave that for the end of the session. Right now, let me just highlight here the Facilitation Hall of Fame. I will be starting on the 19th. Then interesting sessions from IAF Methods and Library from Session Lab, one of our partners in this FacWeek. Of course, highlight.
Sorry, Paul. May I just say something for the second thing that you just mentioned, the Sessions Lab? Just want to add something there. There are 2 sessions that during the week, and I'm facilitating the second one. And I just want to share something to our viewers that really excited because we spent a lot of time with all our methods in our and Session Lab helped us to do that in 2017. I was part of that project. And now we call it turning the light on to our methods. So we're opening our methods library to all our members so that, you can come and contribute to it. And we will take you through a really interesting process to experience that. So please join the 2 events that we have that many of us are facilitating. Yeah.
Thank you so much for reminding that. And definitely another highlight will be Rosh Hashanah's session on Tuesday, developing an integrated facilitation practice, values and assumptions to techniques. That certainly will be not to miss. Then I have to market my own session with the MPI, but this is for me really, really important because when I was elected as a director of conferences in the IAF, and I apologize because I forget to put my own banner, but it was one of the promises to my fellow members was that we need to create bridges with the meeting professionals from the event industry. And I'm so pleased that Pedro Neves took the challenge, and we are going to have key leaders of the MPI with us on Wednesday, October 21. Please join us for meetings as crucial drivers of change. And obviously, we're talking about our large events and the instruments for change. Then, of course, on Wednesday, we have Liberating Structures. We are very, very pleased that Keith McKenna himself is going to join us and offer a session, and then another of the sessions hosted by Farah, as just mentioned. Also, an interesting, Ken Thompson will offer us team business simulation, and this is a session that if colleagues would attend this session, they will be able to get points on the certification program on team business simulation. Also, co-facilitating our futures. Farah, do you want to share something about this?
I could share it once you finish the featured events.
Okay, definitely. And last but not least, the Facilitation Impact Award will be the closing event on Monday, 26th of October. So we are actually 1 week and 1 day.
Yeah. I'd like to highlight one event, which is, just if you scroll up a little bit, Paul, this was what Farah's talking about, diversity. Talking about Asia celebrating as one Asia coming together and inviting, different chapter leads and people together from Asia coming together to celebrate the diversity itself. So that's the event, the featured event that we were talking about.
Which one event?
This is called Celebrating Diversity, which is on the 25th of October.
Celebrating
diversity.
It should be showing here.
It's a featured one.
Yeah, it's featured.
It's featured one. Okay, so that's okay. Let's go back there. Oh, this one here, right? Fantastic.
Yes,
oh, amazing.
That's right.
I see such an interesting vibrations from Asia in this new era after post-COVID. Could that be the case that Asia will be leading the post-COVID era and no longer the West, so-called West?
Mum is the word. But I think I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the trends, but what I see is that there is a lot of traction happening in other parts of other regions as well. So Asia is definitely in a really strong position to have such powerful shifts in the future.
Anyone wants to chip in?
Yep.
Role of Asia in the post-COVID era, and how about your thoughts on that?
Well, Asia has been leading the world in terms of population for a very long time, and it's been rapidly catching up on the economy for a long time too. So I'm not so sure that the West is still leading, Paul.
Good point. Yeah. Should we all be starting to learn Chinese, Peter?
I think Asia has more than just Chinese, the other languages. I think one of the reasons Asia is probably growing is, I think, is inevitable because of the one basic thing is the shift of the growth of wealth that brings a lot of opportunity and possibility. And one of the things probably will be education. I think as education sprouts out, as we learn more things, as company grows, it's inevitable that groups come together and the need for a skill like facilitation for it to grow will go alongside. Yeah. So I probably explain why some of the countries like India, China, the memberships grows very fast. Right, it is a newfound way to get people connected, and then with the technology, I think it's even more exciting. So I would say the growth is unstoppable. Whether it's leading or not, I don't think I also want to place a judgment on that. I think it's a matter of, in fact, I would like to see, and as there's a question just now I wanted to ask Suzanne and Martin is, what will you tell our Asia friends, which of the sections really bring a flavor of what England and Wales is all about? And I think that is something that, for me, I would be very excited to know, because that sort of events really bring us together to something fragrant as like wine, but what is underneath the wine that is really exciting.
Absolutely. Suzanne, yes? Huram?
I was just going to say, could you just repeat the question again?
Yeah, I'd like to hear from you among all the exciting sessions, just like in Asia, we have the diversity event itself. For your side, what is something that we could really go in and search to understand England and Wales better through such a session?
That is a good question. Because yes, we're also trying to focus a bit more on diversity in this conference. We've got session leaders from Asia, as well as from Africa, as well as Europe and the UK. What would give people a flavour of England and Wales, Martin?
Maybe the murder mystery, actually.
Actually, yeah. That's
have you come across the board game Cluedo?
Cluedo.
Oh yes.
So I think I'm not sure, but I think the murder mystery it's premised that Zoom meetings sometimes feel like murder. So let's imagine there actually had been one, and we'll have to work out who done it. And I think we're each going to have to play a character like Colonel Mustard with the lead piping in the drawing room, for example.
That would be interesting.
So that would give you a little taste of British culture, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're getting us all excited.
I do see that.
We have here
with my daughter.
Yeah, sorry, I was just saying that I do see that the space that offered to us through digital should bring us closer together and not divide the world, by more of east and west. I think the very fact that we can all jump on the same platform, that signifies a certain movement that we should all embrace it a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what I was thinking about as you were talking about who's leading, who's not. Like, it's not a competition, especially now when geography doesn't matter, and we can connect and we can have session leaders from Asia and from Africa at our England and Wales conference, and I can go to sessions held in Asia as well and get to know that culture a bit more. So I think it's a really good opportunity to say it's not a competition.
Absolutely.
Okay, one comment from our audience, Keith Jones. Wayne simply holding space. Well, that's what I'm doing right now, I suppose, and it's not simple. But anyway, would you like to add something to this comment from Keith? It's interesting when we try to interact with an audience that it's not in the room, right? We lose a little bit of the touch.
Just adding in thoughts over here, because holding that space as a facilitator, when you look at it, I think it's important to, have your videos on and stay connected with each other. So that is the space that we could create as facilitators, because when you have your videos on, you're very well connected to the audience whom you are talking to, the learners who are there with them.
Fantastic. Poonam, are you learning something by listening to this bunch of facilitators?
Oh, absolutely. I'm always picking up a little bit here and there. This has been really exciting, and we'll definitely carve something out. It might be a little bit short for us to come in and do something, but I'm sure we can make something fit in before the 26th for the Impact Awards. That would be exciting.
Fantastic.
As well.
Okay, folks, so we have 8 minutes to go, so maybe we should wrap up now, and from our hearts, what we would like to share with the ones who are here with us in this virtual space. And for me, it's a heartily thank you for spending time here in this session. And I'll share the baton to maybe on alphabetical order. We could say the last farewell to our audience. So starting by...
Are we going the other way around for a change?
Farah, yes, Farah.
I'm just so grateful to have been here, Paul, so that we can, connect with everyone, talk about what's important for us, and to share what's actually waiting to happen in a week's time. So I just want to invite everybody to be part of this experience and just connect with all of us, and we're there for you. So FacWeek is a celebration, so come celebrate with us.
Thank you, thank you. So alphabetically will be Kavitha.
Yeah. So I would like to say thank you and gratitude to the volunteers who are actually putting in a lot of effort. Each one of you have curated sessions, which are beautiful sessions, which have been looked at the FacWeek website that we have. I think kudos to you and thank you for doing it. And join us together to celebrate FacWeek together.
Thank you so much, Kavitha, and thank you for being here. So, Poonam? Or Peter, I think. Oops, Peter will be.
Okay, thank you. Once again, thank you very much for all of you coming on board this to kind of have a conversation. Indeed, I also must thank our members who kind of volunteered their time to put up the show. I think without them, the show wouldn't go on. And there are some of our members who are pretty new, but they were so brave enough to kind of say, I want to hold a session, to connect and share. So I do hope that the rest of the community to come and also support all the Asia plus all the other chapters, because many of them have put on a lot of hard work and to kind of learn and share. And lastly, one of my wish would be like what we have tonight. It doesn't come easy. The platform brings us together. I hope that we will converge more rather than diverge in practice.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Peter. And next in alphabetical order will be Poonam, right?
Yes, that's me. I echo what Peter said and what everyone said. Just stay inspired and reach out and share as much as possible. TAC Hub runs completely not for profit. We work on sponsorships, so we've never regretted that. And FacWeek is another reach out. And I think IAF inspired us in 2018, and look where we've come as well in digital facilitation. And you never know what nuggets of wisdom and what little pointers you're going to find to create even more authentic, impact. So really excited to meet everyone and see how next week runs. I'm sure we'll learn so much.
Thank you so much. And so Martin.
Thank you, Paul. Well, in that case, I get to thank Susannah before she gets a chance to speak. But not just Susannah. Susannah's done a lot for our conference this year, but there are at least dozens of people who have contributed to making our conference happen this year. And many of them are the same people who have been contributing all year round to lead our program of something like a dozen regular monthly meetups all year round. So do come and join us if you would. Anybody, wherever you are in the world, you are welcome to join what will be a very English and Welsh annual conference. But we're very keen to have open borders. I'm very keen to welcome you all. And thanks for welcoming us into this session just now, Paul.
My pleasure, Martin. And last but not least, Susannah.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm always laughed with my name, but yeah, no, I just wanted to say this. I'm really excited about all the different sessions on globally and in IAF England and Wales, and I think the world really needs facilitators right now. So this feels like a really good time to get together as facilitators and go, how do we help? And I think there's so many sessions around that, and all the sessions contribute to that. So I'm just really grateful for all the growth opportunities that are coming up in the next week.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And a round of applause, everyone. And please don't forget that we have...
For a great sharing.
Yeah.
Paul, what about you?
Well, I just want to thank you all here and our viewers, of course, because it's always such a busy times, and people taking the time to watching us. I mean, it makes me the thrills. And don't forget to go to the FacWeek.org website. There's so many sessions out there. It's going to be a wonderful week. And of course, if you want to have a morning coffee, you have to join England and Wales conference. And hopefully I will be, I'm thinking about registering just for the coffee, you know, Susannah.
Paul,
You do have to bring your own coffee though, sorry.
I know that.
If you come for the 11 o'clock coffee on the Tuesday, that's free. You don't have to register for that.
Okay, I will.
Everybody's welcome for free. That's our regular monthly virtual coffee meetup.
Okay. Cool.
Perfect.
Welcome. Okay, so we have to say goodbye now. It's 2 minutes for the hour, so we'll offer these hours to our viewers and to yourselves, my friends, because you have busy lives. And thank you so much for joining here today. And hopefully we'll see each other next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.